All right. I only have a few moments with you guys. So I want to maximize and take advantage of the time that we have together. I also do want to thank you for enduring my voice. I'm not a singer, but and some of you may be singers, so you might have been a little disturbed by what you heard. but I sing because I have an amount and an abundance of joy. I sing because of how wonderful the Creator has been to us. You know, I'm not just talking of myself, I'm talking about what He's done for us as a people. It's an amazing thing that He's done for us, to bring us about in a time that we live in, especially with everything that's going on in the world. We get an opportunity to know Him. We get an opportunity to be able to call on the name of the Holy One of Israel. And there's no one or nothing like it or him in the whole entire planet. A few days ago, I talked to you about Yithro. Moshe's father-in-law came to him. Yithro heard about all the great things that were going on with Moshe, and what Yahweh did for him and for the people of Israel. And, he was really excited. And he was a priest. And he was, talking to Moshe, brought his family back to him. They go into the tent, they start discussing things. And, this priest had some previous experiences with other gods. And there's some things I want to read to you before we go into our prep for chapter number 19 that I didn't get a chance to cover on Yom Shilishi, okay, which is the third day of the week. SUN day is the first day of the week, which is Yom Rishon. Second day is Yom Shani, and the third day is called Yom Shilishi. The fourth day is called Yom Ravi'i, and the fifth day, which is today, Yom Zeh, this day, is Yom Kamishi. They sound Japanese. Kamishi, Shishi. Sounds Japanese, doesn't it? It's Hebrew. So today is Yom Kamishi. Today's the fifth day of this in particular week. Okay. So I want to begin in verse number 13. The following day, after Yithro was having this conversation with Moshe, and he was letting him know that, hey, now I know that Yahweh is the Elohim of all Elohims. I know that now by what he did for you guys. So I'm convinced. So they did an offering and sacrifice. But 13 says this: the following day, Moshe he sat to settle disputes for the people. And while the people stood around Moshe from morning to evening, and when Moshe's father-in-law saw all that he was doing to the people, he said in verse number 14, what is this that you are doing to the people? Why do you sit there alone with all the people standing around you from morning till evening? Moshe answered his father-in-law, it is because the people come to me and they're seeking Elohim's guidance. And whenever they have a dispute, it comes to me, okay? And I judge one person between a person and another, and I explain to them Elohim's laws and teachings, okay? And that's in verse number 16. So again, I wanted to share with you that the laws and the teachings have to do with a word that is a little bit different than law, okay? These are different, okay? More than likely, we're going to see the word kukim, okay? It's verse number 16. I have to share the Hebrew with you because that's the language in which it was written in, okay? So verse number, and this is talking about the advice that he was going to give to them. He said, why do you sit? 16. 16. Some of the people, they inquired, they're seeking answers. And he said, when a difficulty comes to me, I will judge between one person. So he's becoming a judge. Okay, he's Vashafti. He's judging the people, and there it is, the kuke. Okay, the kuke. And the kuke right here, again, are the decrees. I'm going to keep re-emphasizing the importance of this in particular word because people are going around saying that Yah's laws are done away with, and his laws are not done away with. Yah's laws are not done away with. Okay. So it's called the Kuke. And Kuke, of course, is just a way that to pronounce it. Where did it go? Okay. Difficulty in the things in the LA. They come to me to hear the word of Yahweh, I'll judge between them. Oh, here it is. The Kuke. The Kuke. Okay. And this right here is not law. It is what they call decrees. Koti, I mean, Akid Dawid, why do you keep talking about this? Why do you keep talking about the Kukai or the Kuke or the Kukim? Why are you talking about it? Because I want you to let you know that Kukes, which are really statutes, okay, are decrees, and the decrees are written forever. They're never going to change, you guys. They're never going to change. So he's sitting down and he's telling them what Yahweh's decrees are. Well, are they the same thing that he's going to tell them in chapter number 20, which talks about what some people misinterpret and mistranslate to call the 10 Commandments? No, Yah has already told Moshe the decrees, and he began to speak these things to Moshe way before he received what they call the words of Yah on Mount Sinai. You need to understand this. Okay. So they say, oh, well, they gave the 10 Commandments on Mount Sinai, which we're getting to on Shabbat. No. Yahweh, he was sitting there judging them, and they were seeking answers from Yah. Okay. And when he said, I would make known to them, okay, I'm going to make known to them. I'm going to make it known. Okay. He called Yada. I want to make it known to them. What? This stuff right here, the Kuke. So anytime there's a dispute, so what can we pick up from this? Remember, Yah gives us the names because of the book that we're in, but he's also talking about the character. So when there was contention, when there was difficulty, okay, they call it here difficulty, but it's really a davar, any type of situation, okay, a davar is a thing, between two neighbors, Adra'e and Adra'e, he said, I would sit and they would want to know, what does Yahweh's Kuke say about what's going on? Okay, so all arguments, okay, I spelled that wrong. All arguments are going to be resolved with these things, with the Kuke of Ha Elohim, okay? And they're also going to be resolved with NYF. He's telling us what else? Here it is. The Torah, Yah's Torahs, his instructions, okay? So we got those two things. We got the Kuke, which are the decrees, the statutes, and the Torah. The Torah is going to decide matters between, and that's what we're supposed to judge by. We're not supposed to judge by any other thing. The judgment of Yah, and what he talks about when he sat and he judges, okay? You know, the New Testament tells you not to judge. Here he was going to judge. And he said, I'm going to judge between each person and between his neighbor, okay? And I want to make known to them the Kuke and his statutes and his instructions. That's what Torah is. It's his instructions, okay? So when someone says, do you know the Torah? You got to know several things. Number one, you got to know what they would call mishpatim. Could somebody tell me what mishpatim is? If you know, take a guess. Mishpatim are the rulings, which we call judgments. Okay? The judgments. The kukim is what they would call the statutes. Okay? Which are decrees, ordinances. Okay? That's going to happen. Then you have what you call the Torah, which are his instructions. Okay? You also have what they call a mitzvah. Do you know what a mitzvah is? Or mitzvah? Anybody want to tell me what a mitzvah is?
Is that the commandment?
That's the commandments, exactly. His commandments. So, and the commandment is the charge. Like, I'm going to charge you with something, okay? So all these different things right here is identified as Yahweh's what? What does all this represent? Yahweh's voice. Everything he says. He gives the rulings. He gives the statutes. He tells us what the statutes are. He tells us what the instructions are. He gives us instructions how to do the statutes. He gives us instructions if you came across a ruling, how are you supposed to take care of it? You know, a judgment. And the judgments and decisions have already been made. Yah's not looking for anybody to add to what he says. That's why he says, don't add anything to what I'm telling you. Don't add nothing to the right. Don't go to the left. Don't go to the right. Don't add to what I say. Don't subtract from what I said. Because what you're doing is you're minimizing what I said, which is my voice, which I want you to listen to. Okay. And I'm going to speak to you, which we're going to get into on this Shabbat. We're going to go really heavy. You don't want to miss Shabbat. Okay. You don't want to miss this teaching. If you did, it's going to be recorded, but still, you being there, you'll be able to ask questions, and I'll be able to answer it for you. So these are the things that you have to know. Okay. Also too, which I didn't write down here, which within Yahweh's Kukim or Kokim is what they call the Moedim, Moedim, which are appointed, or I'll just say appointments. Okay, or appointed times, where you're going to show up to what? You're going to show up to the times where he says, I want to meet with you. Okay, and one of those things that you're supposed to do on a weekly is called what?
Shabbat.
You got to meet with him on a Shabbat. Okay, so this is the reason why I'm asking you. Shabbat doesn't mean just rest. Okay, it means to cease and desist. Okay, from all your other activities, and also has the idea of celebrate. Okay, which we'll get into a little bit later. Okay, so this is a time of ceasing and desisting so you can celebrate. So you can look at everything that you've done during the week, and you can look at the work that you've done, and you can see what you put your hands to, and what did you put your energy to. Okay, just like Yah did. He worked and he did all his work in what part of the day? When did he do his work?
In the morning, the daytime.
He did it in, yes, he did it in the evening and the morning. Okay, the evening and morning. How many evenings are there?
Two.
Thank you. Tell us when the first one is. What's the first evening?
Like the twilight and between the
Yep. There you go. It's right before the sun rises. Okay. This next second one, okay, is at what they would call the dusk. And that is when the sun sets. There's two of them. Okay. So when the scripture says the evening and the morning were the first day, he's not talking about the dusk and then it goes through darkness. And I got to show you a chart right quick. Then I got to move on. And don't worry, if you miss something, we'll go over it again. Okay. Because this is about learning. And this is what I want you to ask your questions. I'm your teacher. You got to ask me questions. Okay. So I'm going to share something with you. I'm going to stop the share right quick. And I'm going to go here and push this. All right, here we go. Perfect. I like that picture. All right, so here we go. Share the screen again. Can everyone see my screen with the sun? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, so I have this picture here. And what we have, I think someone was on my Hebrew class, and I've been convincing the people who come to class that, there's certain times of the day that we need to be aware of, okay? So the first thing I want to let you know is that when Yah created light, the name of the Hebrew name for light is Or, okay? Or. Come to Hebrew class, you'll get all these little roots that I'm telling, okay? It's Or. And Or is known for light, okay? I'll write that on the side so you don't get confused. Yah then decides to name the light a different name, okay? So the name of it is Or, but English is light. Yah didn't say, let me name it light. He said, he named it Or, which is light in English, okay? Then he says, I don't want to just name it light. I'm going to turn around and change the name of Or to another name, and I'm going to change it to Yom. In English, what does Yom mean?
Day.
Hey, okay. So just based off of what we have right here about Or and Yom, we know that this encompasses day. You see, so it got changed from Or to Yom, and we call Yom in English day. Okay. And it has to do with day. Light has to do with day. Day is light, and light is day. Yah then decides this was the first day. Right? That's the first thing he said, let there be Or, and Wahi Or, there existed light. Okay. The sun was created on what day? You guys remember? The fourth day. And the name of that is called, well, he doesn't give you the name of the sun in Genesis, but he tells us that he created two great lights, okay? And the great lights that he's done, great lights, great Or. You better hear what he's saying. The first one is called the sun, and the second one is called the moon, okay? So he says, I'm going to put the sun in one place, and I'm going to put the lesser light in the other place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the moon where? Where I'm going to put the moon at? Where it's supposed to rule? Where's the moon supposed to rule? Somebody?
Night.
At the night. Moon here. So the sun goes with the day, correct? Is everybody following?
Yes.
All right, good. So the sun rules when there's what? When there's light. The moon rules during the night. Okay? Does everybody understand this? So, which existed first? Was it the sun, or was light existed first or darkness? Which one came first?
Darkness.
Darkness. Darkness was already existing. Okay? So when Yah created Or, he created Or to be light for the day. When he created, when the night, he turns around. This is an English word. Okay. There's a name that he calls the night. Okay. So darkness in English has a name, and the name and darkness, does anybody know for Hebrew name for darkness?
Koshek.
If you've been in my Hebrew, thank you. Somebody's on it. Koshek. Koshek. There you go. So Koshek. Okay. But then he turns around and calls the Koshek a different. I'm gonna clean this up because it's getting a little heavy in here. It's a little thick. A lot of writing. Okay. So let's clean up so we don't get confused. I'm taking a lot of time. Let me just clear all drawings. Okay. So this is Yom. Okay. And so Yah calls the darkness, he calls the darkness by its Hebrew name called Koshek, which is already existed. Okay. So then Yah turns around and changes the name, like he did from here from Or to Yom. He changes the name from Koshek to a name called Lila, which equals night. Okay. So we don't want to get confused. Okay. Darkness and night are English words. Koshek is the real name for darkness. Lila is the real name for night. Or its English name is light and Yom is day. Yah said, I need to make a separation between these two times. Okay. And I'm going to make the separation not on the fourth day, but I'm going to make the separation on the first day. I'm about to separate darkness from light because they cannot exist at the same time. Either they're transitioning or it's one or the other. Okay. So on the chart, you have the sunrise and you have the sunset. Okay. Here, some places the sun might rise at 6 a.m. in the morning. Okay. Maybe. Depends on what time of the year it is. Right before the sun, they got this space called twilight, where the sun begins to come up. It's called 18 degrees. Okay. It's 18 degrees of how the sun is 18 degrees from the center of the sun to the top of the sun, where the sun is finally coming up right here, called the sunrise. The moment you see the top of the sun, that's when it's risen. That's when it's morning. Morning is not when you just see the sun in the sky. Morning is the moment you see the sun at its first place when it's rising. Okay. This time in twilight, that's not the name for in the Hebrew name. Okay. That's an English name. The Hebrew name is called Arev. Okay. So you got one right here, and then you have another one right here. Okay. Which is still Arev. If you want to verify what I'm saying about there being two Arevs, then you would go to Exodus. I should put another color so you can see it. Forgive me. It's a little dark. You should go to Exodus and you go to chapter number 12 and verse number 6 and go to Bible Hub and you can verify. Don't take what I'm saying. Go to BibleHub.com and go to Exodus chapter number 12, verse number 6. And you can see right there that he says, when you go and you do the Passover lamb, I want you to kill it at Arev. Okay. So which one did he tell him to kill it at? Did he tell him to kill it at number 1 Arev or number 2? Which one? Number 1 or number 2?
At 2.
He told him to kill it in number 2 because they were going to go into the night. Okay. Okay. And at midnight, in the middle of the night, he did what? He killed who? The firstborn.
Firstborn. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Firstborn son.
He
Or
killed
male.
the firstborn, all male of men and animals. Every male of animals and people got killed. So you have to understand that there's two Arevs. Okay. And so when the creator says that he said the evening, okay, and they changed this name twilight, but in English it's called Arev is called evening over here and over here. Well, because you and I have been told we're walking around in the places we live, the moment that it's dark, you and I say good evening, or it's been told after a certain period of time during the day, once it gets past 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, you say good evening because it's no longer day. They got all kind of messed up stuff. They make us believe that there's 24 hours in a day. There's not 24 hours in the light. It's not 24 hours in the light. The light can be up for 10 hours. It could be up for 11 hours, depending on where you live at. You could be in Alaska. It's up for a long time. Sometimes it's not up at all. So Yahweh's day consists of light. The first day that Yah, so let me ask you guys a question. When did Yah do his work? When did he do his work?
During the day.
Did his work during the day. Okay. I want you to write this down. Go to Psalms 104 and read Psalms 104. Okay. Psalms 104. It'll tell you that the animals come to work at night. It says humans do their work during the day, from the sunrise to the end of the day. Okay. So work for us is done when there's light. But because of the culture we live in, when they turn lights on over here, you can have lights on all night, big city lights, everything. So there's some cultural problems. That's why nothing makes sense to us. Okay. So when Yah says that you're supposed to keep the Shabbat is going to be kept during the day. When he told the children of Israel to go out and get their manna, what time did he tell them to go get it?
Morning.
So I'm going in the morning, which is the sunrise. He says you got to get it before what? What's going to happen when it gets too hot? What's going to happen?
It would
It's going
melt.
to melt. Okay. And so you got to get it. And he says you could keep it on day 1 through day number 5. You got to, what do you got to do with the manna that day? What do you got to do for the first day, second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day? What do you got to do? Well, after you pick it up, what are you supposed to do with it?
Eat it.
You're supposed to eat it. If you didn't finish eating it, what did you supposed to do with it?
You have to throw it away.
No,
Burn it.
Yeah, that's
no, you have to eat it. It wasn't burn it. It was eat it, completely eat it, because I don't want you to have any leftovers. Because if you had leftovers, it would turn to what?
maggots.
It would turn to worms and maggots, which is a representation of death. Okay, so it was the bread was what? Was it living bread? Yes, it was living. That's why it became worms, because it was living, just like a dead body. So it was living. So did we receive the living bread, or did you receive the living bread from the New Testament? Was our bread living? Was that bread living?
Manna, yes.
The manna was living because it had worms in it. So when someone tells you that the manna wasn't the true bread because it wasn't living, I'm the living bread. No, the manna had worms in it if it didn't leave on day number 5. Tell me about day number 6 when you grab the manna. What are you supposed to do? How much are you supposed to gather?
Enough for 2 days.
A double portion. Thank you. Enough for 2 days. Thank you. Okay. So on the 6th day, day number 6, you go out and grab the manna in the morning. Tick, 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 tick. But you got to get it before it gets too hot because it would melt. Okay. But you got to grab enough of it to get you through this day. And then you're supposed to do what that day with that manna? You can eat it. And then what else do you do with the other portion? You prepare it for the what? For the Sabbath, for the 7th day. Okay. So when you finish cooking it and all this kind of stuff, you set it aside. And what would happen to it in the morning over here? Would it have worms?
No.
No. The other manna had worms at what time?
What time?
In the morning. If they didn't eat all of it, when the morning came on, when the sun rose up, it had worms in it. But now he's saying on the 6th day, you can keep that double portion. And in the morning of the 7th day, there was no worms. See? So what Yah has done is he sanctified the day. The yom of the Shabbat, the 7th day, is sanctified. It's set apart. Okay. That day is set apart. Okay. So for us, the Shabbat begins at sunrise on the 6th day. Okay. The Shabbat starts right here. And then you go through the Shabbat, and boom, it ends right here. As soon as you see this mixing of light right here, it's over. Because Yah does not have, he's never did any creation inside of the night. There was nothing there. What's in darkness? What's in Koshek? Koshek is a picture of misery, sadness, void, and emptiness. Okay. That's what that is. Emptiness. Okay. It's empty. There's nothing there. So there was no reason. The only reason why light was introduced is to do what? Why did he need the light? Why did he create the light? Why did Yahweh create light? Why? Why did he create it? I got your answer. You already know the answer. You're just afraid to say it. Say it.
The good and the evil.
He wants to separate the light from the darkness. He created the light for work so he could do his work. All his work was done when there's light, because that's when you can see. And he's made us in his image. So he's letting us know, just like I did all my work in the light, I need you to do your work in the light. You see? But we're in a culture right now where we do work over here too. Okay. So I just wanted to bring that point out to you and show you that there is a difference. Okay. So remember, you want to go to Psalms 104 and read that. It'd tell you that the animals do their work. When you and I would go to, after we're doing our work during the day, Yah says it's time for you guys to go to sleep. When you guys go to sleep, they wake up and they go to work. Then they do all their work. And then after they're done, you go back out. Have you noticed they very rarely they ran into animals and stuff? And the creeping things and all that, those types of things. So Yah has literally everybody on the schedule. Okay. So his work was never done. You will never see Yahweh asking anybody to make him an offering in the dark. He asked him to make him an offering and kill the Passover lamb at twilight. And that twilight is done over on this side right here. Okay. You are going to have some Shabbats that are going to go for what they will call a 24-hour period. Okay. Those Shabbats are called Shabbatons. They are meaning complete rest. That means don't even wash your dishes. In a regular Shabbat, you can wash dishes. A regular Shabbat, you could make your bed up. A regular Shabbat, you could do those types of things. But in terms of like, you know, cleaning the house and all that kind of stuff, you do all that in prep. You do all that in prep. Your prep is the 6th day. Your prep is to bake or to boil and cook whatever you want to do on that day. That's your time. Somebody got a little angry with me because they said, well, if the Shabbat doesn't begin in the night, you telling me he's going to give me all this time? He's going to give me from sunrise all the way through the day, and then he's going to give me this time, and it's going to go all the way until the next morning? I said, yeah. I said, what's the problem with that? If Yah gave you what they would call a double portion, why wouldn't he extend that double portion even till time? He just gave us a double portion. He gave us on the 6th day, and let me make this clear so it'll be clear for everybody. The 6th day is a double of portion, okay? Day number 1, day number 2, day number 3, 4, and all the way through 5, you just did your work from sunrise to sunset. There was no double portion. There was nothing except for whatever you had. You got to eat all of that, and whatever you took. Remember, it said they took what they could. Whoever who gathered much had nothing left over, and who had it, who they got sufficiently what they needed, right? And it was based on measurement. Day number 1, you're not worried about a double portion. So you don't need a double portion because you're not doing what? You're not doing any prep. There's no prep on day 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. The day for preparation is day number 6. That's your prep. So Yah gives you all day on the 6th day, which is Yom Shishi. That's the name of the day. Shishi. Okay. Shishi. Day Shishi. You're going to get Yom Shishi. You're going to get all day. You're going to get the twilight, and you're going to go through the night, and you're going to get the twilight here. But the moment the sun rises, all work shall cease. Yah told you not to work on the 7th day. The day in Hebrew is called Yom, and Yom is light, and light is recognized by the sun. And Yah made a division between the darkness and the light. That's why. So you could get yourself free from rushing home on Friday night, Friday, and trying to get everything done and running out of time. You got a whole bunch of time to do what you need to do because Yah gave you a double portion, and you can see the double portion. When Yah divided the light from the darkness, he used these in particular times to divide them. The Erev is the division. That's what separates the light from the darkness. This is the separation, this time. This is the separation. This twilight or Erev is really called mix. It's like a mixture. Why is it mixed? Somebody tell me, why is it called mixture?
It's the blending of darkness
Yes.
and light.
Yes, it's the blending of light and darkness together. They get the blending of the light and the darkness, and those are the times. That's why the sky turns that color. So when the sun rises, when you first see the sun in the morning, as soon as you see that sunlight, boom, the sky is lit. You don't have to see the whole sun. If the sky is lit, you're like, oh, it's time. Shabbat started. The moment you started seeing a color over here, you know, there's mixture. That means that it's over. That means that there is a transition between light and darkness. It's like someone changing guards. So the sun is ruling during the day and the moon is ruling, and they're saying, hey, what's up, Sam? I'm about to take over. You know the cartoon where you had the rooster and then you had the coyote and they would walk past each other on Looney Tunes, and it was Sam and the sheepdog and the coyote. Remember? They were taking over. So there's a transition time, and that division of time for transitioning is right here. Transition time. Though that's the division, which Yahweh calls Havdel. Okay, that's the division. And so why does Yah want the division there? Yah wants division. Does anybody want to tell me? Why does Yah want division?
To separate from one or the other.
Yah's trying to make a separation, right? So why is he making a separation, Kent? Why? Because Yahweh is looking for distinction. He's looking for things to be different. He's looking for contrast. He's looking for a difference, which brings me to our final closing of our teaching tonight. Yahweh is looking for division. Yah has always divided. Somebody tell me some of the things that Yah has divided before we go to the next part. So we got division. What is Yah divided?
People.
Okay, he divided people. Thank you.
Evil.
Yah has divided light from darkness. What else has he divided?
Good from
Waters.
evil.
He's done good from evil.
The
What
waters.
else has he divided? Huh?
The
What else?
waters.
Clean from unclean, clean
there
from
you go.
unclean.
Clean from unclean. And somebody said something about waters. Yes, the waters. Thank you. Waters from the waters. So the waters on the earth from the waters that are in the heavens. What else? Did he not divide the water from the land? and separate that? Yes, he did. What else did he divide? He divided the righteous from the what? From the wicked. So you're going to see this all the time. You're going to see a separation. Yah's interested in setting things apart and separating them. Okay. Right. So now, even though they're separate, right, there's still harmony in it because they work well together. You know, they work well. There's some things that need to be separate in order for things to be in harmony. So don't try to mix the clean with the unclean and think you're going to get the results you're looking for. Yah did make the unclean. And Yah has made the wicked. Yes. He said, I made them. For what? Because they're going to face the day of destruction. Yah has made both the righteous and the wicked. Yah has made good and evil. You don't believe me? You'll believe the prophet Isaiah in chapter number 45, verse number 7 says, I do all things, both good and evil. I create peace and darkness. I do it all. So I'm mentioning these things because Yah is making a separation, but prior to making the separation is called, and the way that you do that is through preparation. Preparation. Okay. Prep. Yah does it through preparation. Before he does anything, he prepares. Okay. So preparation is the key to separation. Okay. And what do we call being set apart? Somebody tell me. What did we call being set apart in our language? Does anybody know?
Kodesh.
Thank you. Yes, praise the Holy One. Somebody's on it. Kodesh. I didn't say Kodesh. I said Quodesh. Quodesh is holy, which is called set apart. What is Kodesh?
Month.
Quo is holy and set apart. What's Quodesh? Or Kodesh, excuse me, Kodesh. Kodesh. What is Kodesh?
The month.
Thank you. That's the month. Okay. So Quodesh is holy and set apart, and Kodesh is the month. You understand? So one is a kof and one's a ket. Okay. When you say Quodesh, you're using the kof, this letter right here. When you say Kodesh, you're going to see a ket. Two different letters represent two different things. Okay. The quaf right here, or the kof. Okay. You know how you call it, the things that you wear in your hair, call it kufi? It comes from here. Okay. Kof has to do with a rising or a setting on the horizon. Okay. On the horizon, the rising or the setting. And it means to the gathering of light. Light is gathered. So you go through your day, the light begins. Go through your day. Boom. The light becomes gathered through that whole time, and it starts waning away. And then it goes through its dark period, and then it comes out, and then it begins to what? You begin to gather it again, and it begins again. See? So the quo is the set apartness. So when God says that the Shabbat is set apart, he's really putting this big quodesh on it. That means it's set apart. Okay. Everybody with me? Okay. This right here, the ket, represents a wall, which means a separation too. And that's to divide one period of time from another. It's actually the first letter of our word, which we call kok, which is a statute of Yah. Remember the kokim? That's the first letter, is the kok right here, the ket right here. Okay. So there's times of separation, right? But also too, this means to be engraved, you know, okay, separating the outside from that which is in the inside, okay, because that's what a wall does, okay? So you got to look for those. When you learn the language and you learn the culture, you're going to be able to be better understand what's happening, okay? Got a few minutes left, which is awesome. Because I'm gonna, oh, I guess someone got it. I'm sorry. Koti Pam, your hands up. Go ahead.
Yes, you mentioned something about a 24-hour Shabbat. Has there ever been occasion for such?
Yeah. The 24-hour Shabbat is for 2 times a year. Okay. The first is going to be Pesach, okay, which is coming up. Okay. And it's a memorial. So Yah says that you got to go, do your lamb, right? And then you're going to do it in the evening. Okay. He said you're going to use the fire, you're going to put it on fire, you're going to cook it on with fire. Okay, you're going to roast it with fire. You're going to do this at evening, which is a rev. Okay, that is a Shabbat. Okay, on that in particular day. Then he says you're going to do that in that evening, and you're going to go around to the following evening, which is a 24-hour period from evening to evening. Okay, now from evening to evening, you're going to be in a mode of a Shabbat. Okay. The next one is called the Day of Atonement. Okay. The Day of Atonement starts on the evening. Okay. On the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month, it's from evening, which is a rev, all the way down to back to a rev again. Okay. Evening to evening. And that there is a Shabbat. And that's called a Shabbaton, okay? Shabbaton is complete rest. There is no cooking, no nothing. You're going to, he says, afflict yourselves, meaning humble yourselves by not eating no food for a 24-hour period. Matter of fact, this is true because when he lists it out, when we go over our Yom Kippur study, he tells you that you don't have to worry about washing any dishes or nothing. There is no no prep. There's no prep for this because there's nothing to do. Just make sure when you go from evening to the evening, you're going to make sure that the last thing you had before that sun went down is you ate your food at this time, because from here all the way to this time, to the next day, to the next evening, you ain't going to have any food. And he goes very specific and say, there's no work to be done. There's no one eating any food. There's no prep or nothing. There's no prep or anything done. So those are the 2 times where that Shabbat or Shabbaton will be a 24-hour period.
Thank you.
Okay. And we'll continue to learn more about that because Pesach is coming up. It's right around the corner for us. The month of Aviv is just a few ticks away. Praise the Holy One. It went real fast, to be honest with you. So let me show you this before we close, because I want to stay within my time, because I told you guys I want to honor your time because you gave your time, and I know we got a lot to cover. But here, I want to read something to you before we go. Okay. So to make a long story short, Yithro was giving Moshe advice, okay, about how he should manage the people and so forth and so on. What he was doing wasn't cool. He wasn't doing that which was right. He was tiring the people out, and he was tiring himself out. And so therefore he told him to say, hey, look, let me show you how to do this. Listen to my advice, go check with Yah, see if it's okay. And, I'm paraphrasing everything, and everything will be fine. So I need you to pick leaders. I need you people who are afraid of Yah. Everybody's afraid, not just strong, not a whole bunch of muscles. I need them afraid. They need to fear Yah. And you put them over leaders over thousands, leaders over hundreds, leaders over 10,000s, thousands, hundreds, 50s, and 10s. You need to have leaders over all these people. And so when there's a real difficult situation, they can bring it to you, but you got to teach them Yah's laws so you won't be burnt out, because you're not doing anybody any good. No one's really getting good justice and judgment because you're exhausted. So you're not, you're just worn out. So the idea for us is this. I found in my study of that was we have to be able to delegate authority, but we only delegate that authority to someone who has fear for the Holy One of Israel. That's it. Okay. More specifically, when we get into our land, that's the way it's going to be, right? We're not going to have these issues that we're talking about right now, but we're supposed to derive something from it. And what it is to be able to take counsel from someone who fears Yahweh. The only reason why he was able to take counsel from Yithro was simply because Yithro acknowledged that the Holy One of Israel is the only living Elohim. He's the true living Elohim. And he made a sacrifice to Yah, and he was agreeable to what Yah was doing for his people. I'm going to close with this, reading a couple of different things. I'm only going to read the first couple of verses, verse number 5 through 6 or something. Okay. So it was in the third month. I pay very careful attention to things. Okay. Why? Because in chapter number 16, it was the second month that they came out on the 15th day. They left Aviv in that month. That's the name of the month. They left on the first month on the 15th day. Okay. That's when they left Egypt. The next month on the 15th day, which is 30 days later, they ended up being at the water of Merah Springs. Okay. Excuse me. Not Merah. No, excuse me. On the 15th day of the second month, Yahweh introduced them to the Shabbat and said, I'm going to test them by sending out manna. That's the first time he fed them, was on the actual following day, but he told them what he was going to do on the 15th day of that month. Okay. So what we're seeing is this consecutiveness of them leaving on the 15th of the first month. Okay. So the first month they left on the 15th. Okay. Which is in the middle of the month. Okay. Which is a full moon. Okay. Not a half moon, full moon. Okay. Not Rosh Chodesh, full moon. The second month that they left, after they left, the second month on the 15th day, Yah talks to them about the Shabbat and puts them to the test to go pick up that manna. Okay. Here is the third month on the 15th day. It was in the third month after the people of Israel left the land of Egypt. It was in the third month, the Hashalishi, the same day that they came to the desert of Sinai. Okay, the same day. Okay, and setting out from Rephidim and arriving at the Sinai desert, they set up camp in the desert. Okay, so now they're traveling. Moshe went up to Elohim. This is what he did when they got there to this mountain. Moshe, verse number 3, went up to Elohim, and Yahweh called to him from the mountain. Here is what you are to say to the household, to the house. You have household, but it's the house, the Bayit of Yaakov. Okay. He didn't say this to anybody else. Say this to the household of Yaakov, to tell the people of Israel. That's interesting because he uses these two names. He uses Yaakov and he uses Israel. Okay. What's also interesting, he uses the word say and this other word called tell. Okay. In the Hebrew language, this say over here, does anybody remember how to say in Hebrew? You just took my class last week. You better know.
All.
Amar. He said Amar. He says, speak to the people of Israel. Amar, say to them. Say this to them. This one right here is a different word. It's not Amar. Okay. It's I think it's Neged, and that means to make it known, to be make it very clear. I need you to be very clear with them. Okay. So there's two different tones being used. I need you to tell them what I'm about to tell you, but I want you to make it known, that which is make it conspicuous, not inconspicuous. Make it conspicuous, make it known, and make it clear to the sons, not the people, the sons of Israel. This is what he said. You have seen what I did to the Egyptians, how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Okay? I brought you to myself. Why? Because I want to set you apart. That's why I brought you out to where I brought you. I couldn't talk to you and spend time with you and get to know you while you're in among other people. So what I had to do is I had to bring you out to myself. Okay. And now, this is what Yah's telling Moshe to go tell and make clear to them. If you would pay attention, careful attention to what I say and keep, meaning guard, my covenant, then you will be my own treasure. That word treasure right there is called segula. Okay. And segula doesn't mean just treasure, it means a jewel. It means you're going to be my possession, and you're going to be something I'm going to hide, and you're going to be someone I'm going to tuck away, and you are my property. You belong to me. But it's always if. Okay. So, but you're going to be this jewel to me from among all the peoples. And all the peoples here is everybody on the face of the earth. And then he says, for all the earth is mine. Okay. So we're going to start with this right here for the sake of time, because when we come back on in the next few days, in 2 days, Yom Shinei, when we come back in 2 days, you're going to find out how important this is. Okay. So in closing, I want to let you know that you and I are a jewel to Yahweh, and that Yahweh brought you to himself. Okay. To make you quo desh, to put you as a set apart. See, so everything about you is going to be set apart. Your times are going to be set apart. So you're not going to do New Year's Eve and the next day and say it's the new year. Your new year is going to be in springtime. When everybody else is going around doing what they're doing and preparing for that, you're going to show up for my set apart times where my moedims. You have appointments that you're going to keep with me. I only want you to be set apart for me in this way, but I also want you to be set apart with me in your diet. I want you to be set apart with me in your clothing. I want you to be set apart in your hygiene. I want you to be set apart in your language. I want you to be set apart in your mindset. So because you're a special treasure to me, that's why I brought you to myself. That's why you're here. That's why you're on Zoom. I'm gathering you. I'm bringing you to me. And I'm using whatever means I'm going to use to bring you to me. And ultimately, me and you're going to have what they call an encounter. Me and you're going to have a time where you and I are going to meet. And I'm going to meet you. I brought you to me so me and you can finally meet. Okay? That's why you and I have been called by Yah to come to him. Because ultimately, he says, I brought you to myself. So when Yah brings someone to him, it's only for the purpose of Yah getting to Yada, for us to know him and to know what he intends on doing for us. So what we have here is an offer from Yah. He told Moshe, go tell them, make this clear to them, because everything belongs to me. Okay. So I want you to go and give them this message. And I didn't finish off what he said. Okay. Talking about what their responsibilities will be. That's what we're going to talk about Shabbat, which is going to really blow your mind. Okay. I'm so excited about it. I would go for the rest of the night, but I'm like, no, I'm going to honor my word because I'll be here for hours. So I don't want you to leave without knowing that Yah is bringing you to himself. Okay. So you could be a jewel to him. You're a jewel and you're his property and you're precious. Okay. Set apart. Okay. So that's the reason why. Okay. Let me show you one thing. Where's it at? Break living roots, covenant outline. What's that? Oh, here you go. All right. Oh, I can't see my screen. Here you go. I'm gonna share my screen with you guys and I'm gonna let you go. All right. So can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So I put a presentation together because this one is very, very important. Not that any of them aren't, but this is what Yah says that you and I are going to be to him. You and I are going to be a kingdom of priests. We're going to be a kingdom of priests to him. As I told you, and what we've been discussing this week, we got the idea of what advice is, you know, from our mates, you know, from people who are in our family, people who fear Elohim, people who can give real good counsel. Okay. That's the advice piece. Okay. Tonight, we talked a little bit about prep. You know, we talked about prep for the Shabbat. We talked about prep, you know, in terms of what he's doing for us. If you notice, I kept telling you about the 6th day. I kept explaining to you why it's so important that you get everything that you got to get, because without preparation, is if you didn't pick up your double portion. Okay, on the 6th day, if you went out to go, if you didn't go get your double portion on the 6th day, was there any manna on the 7th day?
No.
No, there's no manna. So that meant that you're done. And everybody only had enough for themselves, correct? And their families. And they, whatever they set apart for their families. Okay. So the 6th day is the day that you get your preparation together. Okay. So that's what we're talking about. Okay. I use that example of the Shabbat because that's what we're talking. Yah is preparing the children of Israel to meet him, to finally hear his voice. That's why. So you get the advice to go ahead and get prepared. And after you get prepared, you're going to prepare to meet him. I will say this to you. I'm not into prognostication, meaning being a fortune teller and telling what the future events hold. Yah does not give us the authority to do such a thing. But what I am going to tell you is this. We see a pattern in the Torah and the prophets. Yah tells you and I everything in advance about what he's going to do. Yah is telling Israel, ever since he introduced himself to them, and it says that your fathers had never known me by this name, but I want to introduce you to this name, and this name is going to be known to you. I'm going to give you my name. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come and I'm going to tell you who I am. And after I finish telling you that, I'm going to send someone. And that person that I sent is going to be Moshe and his brother, Aharon. I'm going to give them my words to tell you so they can lead you, so you can finally arrive where I want you to be, so I can prep you to meet me. That's a pattern. So has Yahweh introduced himself to you and me? Yes, he has. Has he revealed his name to us? Did anyone else come up and say in the Christian church, this is his name? Did they tell you his name is Yahweh? No, they didn't. They didn't want to tell you, oh, his name is, yeah, I heard about that. They give you what he said? No. Did they tell you the Torah by sending Moshe and Aharon to instruct the children of Israel? Oh, they haven't. What are we reading tonight? We're reading out of the book of Shemot, which was written by Moshe and Aharon. Aharon had a part of that. He was instructed. You see where Yah talked to him on plenty of times, saying, go tell the children of Israel, go tell the children of Israel. But primary is Moshe. That's the primary one that we listen to. And we're going to find that out. The Yah says that this man is the man that I need you to listen to. Okay? And he's going to tell us why. But I'm trying to explain something to you. You and I are in preparation right now to finally meet him. You're going to meet him. and he's going to show us who he is. But before that, he wants you to hear his voice and what he says to you and I. And that's what we're going to be covering this Shabbat. That's why I don't want you to miss it. I don't want you to miss it. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not an Amway distributor anymore. When I was a kid, I was an Amway distributor. I used to sell alcohol in Amway when I was like 6 years old. I'm serious. I want you to tell your family, and I want you to tell your friends, and I want you to tell the people that you love the most, where they can come and they can hear exactly what did Yahweh say to the children of Israel, because we're going to hear that. We're in his voice through Moshe. That's who we're going to hear. We're going to hear Yahweh speak to us on Shabbat. Yeah. So I'm encouraging you, invite your friends, families, whatever. Say, look, just if you guys just come and hear the teaching of what they call the 10 Commandments, they're not the 10 Commandments. Just come and hear Yahweh's voice and just listen and invite them. Okay. So they can hear it, because then they have some sense of a possibility that they may be able to soften up a little bit and be like, I have to make a decision, because I ain't never heard it like that before. Never. I've never heard it taught or even brought out the way it's going to be brought out. It's mind-boggling. It just blows your mind. So with that being said, anyone have any questions or concerns before I let you go? Anyone makes any kind of statements or anything? Well, you guys are a wonderful group of people, and I appreciate your time. Okay, so I will see you, Lila Tova, and I will see you on Shabbat.